In the year 1552, the Kingdom of Hungary stood on the edge of collapse. For decades, the Ottoman Empire had been advancing deeper into Central Europe. Fortress after fortress had fallen, cities burned, armies were defeated, and the once powerful Hungarian kingdom was slowly being pushed back. After the catastrophic Battle of Mohács in 1526, Hungary had been divided. Much of the central territory was already under Ottoman rule, while the remaining regions struggled to defend themselves against further invasion. But in the autumn of 1552, one small fortress would become the symbol of resistance. Eger. Located in northern Hungary, the Castle of Eger was not the largest fortress in the kingdom. It was not the strongest either. Yet its position was crucial. If Eger fell, the Ottomans would gain a direct path deeper into northern Hungary and toward the Habsburg lands. The Ottoman Empire understood this, and so they sent an army to take it. The force marching toward Eger was enormous. Contemporary estimates suggest between 40,000 and 80,000 Ottoman soldiers were sent to capture the fortress. Against them stood fewer than 2,000 defenders. At the center of this desperate defense was the Hungarian captain István Dobó. Dobó was not just a military leader. He was a man who understood that if Eger fell, the consequences for Hungary could be devastating. Inside the castle walls were soldiers, peasants, craftsmen, and even women who refused to abandon their homes. They knew the odds. But they also knew surrender meant destruction. So they prepared to fight. As the Ottoman army approached, the defenders of Eger strengthened their walls and prepared their cannons. Supplies were gathered, weapons were sharpened, and every able-bodied defender took their place along the battlements. Soon, the horizon darkened with the arrival of the Ottoman army. Thousands of soldiers surrounded the fortress. Their banners filled the fields, their artillery was positioned around the castle, and their commanders prepared for what they expected to be a quick victory. After all, how could fewer than 2,000 defenders possibly resist such a massive force? The Ottomans began the siege with heavy artillery bombardment. Cannons thundered day and night, sending stone and iron crashing into the castle walls. Towers crumbled, sections of the fortress were damaged. Dust and smoke filled the air as the defenders struggled to repair the damage. But the walls of Eger held. When Ottoman soldiers attempted to storm the fortress, the defenders responded with fierce determination. Arrows rained down from the walls. Cannon fire blasted attacking troops. Boiling water, burning oil, and stones were thrown onto the soldiers climbing ladders. The battle was brutal and relentless. Day after day, the Ottoman army attacked. Day after day, they were pushed back. One of the most famous stories from the siege tells of the women of Eger joining the defense. When the attackers reached the walls, the women helped carry stones, poured boiling liquids onto invading soldiers, and fought beside the men to keep the fortress from falling. Their courage became legendary in Hungarian history. Inside the castle, conditions were harsh. Food supplies were limited. Many defenders were wounded. The constant bombardment exhausted the garrison. Yet Captain Dobó continued to inspire the defenders, reminding them that their resistance was protecting the entire region. Every day they held the fortress was a day the Ottoman advance was delayed. As the siege dragged on, the Ottoman commanders grew increasingly frustrated. They launched larger assaults, hoping sheer numbers would overwhelm the defenders. But the narrow walls of Eger made it difficult for large numbers of attackers to fight effectively at once. Again and again, the defenders repelled the assaults. Weeks passed. The Ottoman army suffered heavy losses. Morale among the attackers began to fall. Finally, After nearly 5 weeks of fighting, the Ottoman commanders made their decision. The siege would be abandoned. The massive Ottoman army withdrew from Eger, leaving behind one of the most remarkable defensive victories in Hungarian history. Against overwhelming odds, fewer than 2,000 defenders had held back an army many times their size. The victory at Eger did not end the Ottoman threat to Hungary, but it became a powerful symbol of resistance. The fortress of Eger remained standing, and the story of its defenders spread throughout the kingdom. Captain István Dobó became a national hero. The courage of the defenders, soldiers, civilians, and women alike, became a legend passed down through generations. The siege of Eger proved that even in the darkest moments, determination and unity could defy overwhelming power, and for Hungary, the defense of Eger became one of the greatest stories of courage in its long and turbulent history.